With the NBA draft just 2 days away, we kick the tires on UCLA's best prospects. Justin Herbert is now a top 5 quarterback with flaws. And the Clippers think they could keep Russell Westbrook while they get Chris Paul. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is June 20th, 2023. I am in a terrific mood. We had an off day because there were no games involving LA teams yesterday. Got a little reacquainted with the wife. You will not get the details. That's on you. But in the meantime, we are still building things for LA sports here. If you like being in the know, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Try to get back to every one of you. Before we go through the news and notes, look at the scoreboard. Like I said, there were no games going on yesterday with LA teams. But today, the Freeway Series, Dodgers at Angels, 7 o'clock. Clayton Kershaw is 8-4 with a 2.95 ERA. Reed Detmers, 1-5 with a 4.48 ERA. Here is something you might not know. The only member of the Dodgers rotation to make every one of his scheduled starts this season is injury-prone Clayton Kershaw. Wow, who knew? Meanwhile, Minnesota is at the Sparks. That game is at 7. Now, you've heard the cliche, right? Oh, that team, they've got to learn how to win. The Sparks are 2-4 in their last 6 games, but they blew double-digit leads in 3 of the losses. And yes, I just said a women's team blew. Stop it. Let's all grow up. What do you say we start off by going negative for the sake of going negative? Right? We're not always ultra optimistic here. We're Angelenos. We like our pro players. We like our collegiates. Yeah, we want them to do well. But we recognize reality here on Faithful Angelenos. So, with the NBA draft coming up, what do the NBA scouts not like about UCLA prospects going in? Because 2 of them could go in the first round. But just because you're a first-round pick or maybe even borderline lottery or in the lottery, the NBA draft history is just littered with top picks who flamed out. Number 2 picks, for Pete's sake. Where's Lonzo Ball? He was a number 2 pick, right? What about Amari Bailey, though, who is one and done for the Bruins? And by the way, he's one and done because he always wanted to be one and done. So everybody knew this guy was going into the NBA draft. Here is what an unnamed group of scouts told The Athletic about Amari Bailey. Quote, he turned the ball over too much. He played off the ball this year, but he's going to have the ball in his hands to have success. And will he be able to defend 2s, shooting guards? Probably not, because he has average speed, unquote. What about Jaime Jaquez Jr.? Everybody in Westwood loves that guy. I got nothing but admiration for that guy. The dude was a flat-out warrior for the Bruins, which helped Mick Cronin rebuild the program pretty much on the fly. Quote, his weakness is athleticism and quickness. His shooting is solid, but he still needs to become consistent. At UCLA, this one was interesting, by the way. At UCLA, I thought he looked tired because he was asked to do too much, unquote. Now, that particular scout, who again, unnamed, said that might actually work out in Jaquez's favor if he goes to the NBA. Because he's not going to be the go-to guy. He's going to be basically he might, for all we know, be a great 6th man. And if you're a great 6th man, you're not out there 40 minutes a night. So maybe Jaquez becomes much more valuable with fewer minutes. Because as other scouts and executives have said, the guy competes so damn hard. So yeah, that's a knock on him, but it still could theoretically make him very useful. Now, to round everything up, there are 3 other Bruins hopefuls that are eligible for the draft, but I have not seen mock drafts of these 3 going in either round. That would be Tiger Campbell, Jalen Clark, and David Singleton. I have seen multiple mock drafts that have either Amari Bailey going in the upper to mid first round. I've seen mock drafts with Jaime Jaquez Jr. going mid first round. So that's why we're focusing on them. And by the way, regarding Clark, there is a reason why he's not in a bunch of mock drafts. He needs to recover from an Achilles injury. This is NBA basketball. It's not a game of horse. You need your Achilles. It helps you run and jump. I go through a lot of news sources and websites compiling every episode. There are very few that I don't look at. One of them that I don't is something called Bolt Beat. Now, maybe the dude who has the blog, maybe he's a nice guy. Maybe he's, trying his best. I don't know. I'm not trying to clown him. But his blog posts, his news posts are way too emotional. Going into last year, the reason I knew this guy was not necessarily on his game was because he really, really hated where Justin Herbert was ranked in terms of quarterbacks. Of course he's top 5, and he was like telling how all of us should be rioting and going into the streets and lighting cars on fire because Justin Herbert wasn't a top 5 quarterback. I'm not that emo. I can't go there. So I hope that he calls off the dogs because CBS Sports said Justin Herbert is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. Again, there's going to be homers who say the guy should be ranked higher. But the two reasons why Herbert is not ranked higher are legit. 1, he's only had 1 playoff game in his career, and oh, by the way, that was a loss in Jacksonville. That is an ish. The other one, and by the way, this other knock on Herbert, you could blame on former Chargers offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi. Herbert's average yards per pass attempt was just 6.8. Super Bowl winners, elite quarterbacks exceed 8 yards per pass attempt. Now, you might not think that that's a big difference, but over the course of the season, it damn sure adds up. Now, keep in mind, again, the new coordinator, Kellen Moore, who we're going to talk about a little bit more in a moment, he loves to go deep. So we're going to see a significant spike in yards per attempt for Justin Herbert next year. There is the possibility that not only does Herbert solidify himself as a top 5 quarterback, but maybe even edges himself up a bit. But also let's temper our enthusiasm. He's not Patrick Mahomes, right? Just saying. Now, Brandon Staley, meanwhile, thinks that adding Kellen Moore as the new offensive coordinator has made the Chargers' offense just as aggressive, like what we were talking about, what you need to see from Justin Herbert. The offense now is just as aggressive as the defense. Quote, the play calling on both sides of the ball, the quality of the players, the belief system, and how we're doing everything. I left the field saying, this is exactly why we hired Kellen, unquote. Staley added that what he likes about Moore is that his play calls, force the defense to cover a lot of ground and forces the defense to account for all 5 skill players. And he likened it to back when Moore was the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Quote, it's not like you could go in and say, hey, we're just going to take care of Zeke Elliott. And hey, we're just going to take care of Amari Cooper and we're going to be okay. It was like, no, he's going to be able to find a weakness in your defense at some point of the game and exploit it, unquote. There's chatter in the Clippers front office about how they think they can get both Chris Paul and keep Russell Westbrook. This is according to The Athletic. The idea is to make it like an equitable split in playing time. Since Paul going 38 minutes a night, we've been talking about this over the last few days, Paul going with 38 minutes a night, whether it be for the Clippers, whether it be for the Lakers, that is very risky. Now look, I like The Athletic. I always recommend The Athletic. I think the vast majority of their reporters are definitely on their game. But if this report is correct, this is not feasible either. We talked a couple of days ago about how somebody also with The Athletic said that the Lakers imagined keeping D'Angelo Russell and Chris Paul, having D'Angelo Russell run the offense during the regular season, and then in the playoffs, when D'Angelo Russell starts to fade, bring in Chris Paul. This is obviously a same attempt at that argument. Look, I'm said it with the Lakers, and I'm going to say it with the Clippers. It's not feasible because personal pride for both players will kick in. They're going to want to be on the court. They're going to want the ball. And while I believe getting a ring is very important, not just to Chris Paul, but to Russell Westbrook, again, you're asking Russell Westbrook to go from $45 million in pay to barely above the league minimum at $3 million. That is a 94% cut in pay. Now, I realize it's millions of dollars, but that is a 94% cut in pay. Who in the hell is going to be okay with that? Would you? I would. About a month ago, I was talking about how USC football must be throwing a hell of a party for recruits because they are just landing elite players one after another for the class of 2024 with Lincoln Riley. And I don't recall what I speculated it was. I don't go back over these old clips, right? I mean, obviously, he's not taking high schoolers on a road trip to the Spearmint Rhino. I get that. But you know what? We know what he's doing now. They held another recruiting party over the weekend with elite recruits on a damn yacht. Think of all the schools in the Big Ten. You can't compete with a yacht. You're nowhere near the ocean. He's taking them on a yacht with a bunch of bikini babes. And then after they're done floating around and doing whatever the hell they're doing on that boat, they go to party at Lincoln Riley's house. And when I say house, what I really mean is Lincoln Riley's mansion. All this time, I've been doing this show for a year and a half, and I'm like, why is USC just balling in recruiting and UCLA is barely scraping by when they're in LA too? Who the hell wants to go to a Chip Kelly house party? Who the hell? Hey everybody, we're just going to listen to some Lawrence Welk and go out to the putting green. Or you can go on a yacht. Oh, Lord. We now know why USC is balling compared to UCLA in recruiting. The agent representing Eunice Corpusalo, a free agent goalie, played for the Kings for a little bit last year. He texted a reporter that, quote, "We have had a few discussions with LAK," obviously implying the LA Kings. The agent did not say there was any progress. Also, the agent representing Jonathan Quick said that the three-time Stanley Cup winner wants to keep playing. So we don't know necessarily what direction the Kings are going in with goalie, but we also know that the best goalie the Kings have ever had still wants to try and find a spot on a roster. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Let me know if the knocks on UCLA's top 2 basketball prospects are legit. Let me know what you think about Justin Herbert for this year. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.